Hey everyone, it's Eric Jensen here again for some more Jensen Sports Talk. It's been a good week. It's been a good season. USC defeating Notre Dame. Perfect. The way they did it, they just outmuscled them, turned their own game against them. It was a beautiful thing to see. So, lots of stuff going on in the world of sports. We'll dig into college football, World Cup. Those will be the main things we talk about. So first, I'm going to dig into my top 15 here. We'll go 15 up and then talk about what the playoff potentials could be here. So 15, I've got Florida State. They held on against Florida, managed to have a pretty decent season. Number 14, I have Oregon. Oregon State. Let's talk about this game a little bit. Oregon, I don't know what, they didn't learn their lessons. Okay. So, a punter dropping a snap or whatnot, that happens. That's not on coaching. But you lost the Washington game because you went for it on your side of the field on a 4th and 1 and decided who cares about the risks? And then you did it again against Oregon State. Learn your lesson. Yeah, most likely you can pick up a yard. But if you don't at that point in the field, if you're at your own 28 or whatnot, and they can take the lead or whatnot, punt the ball. Make the other team beat you. It's ridiculous. So that's what I have to say. And good job, Oregon State and the Beavers. They never stopped. They just kept on going. They were running their offense the entire way. It is a good football team. Oregon State is a good football team. And while I'm here, might as well go into another side rant. Again, this is 14 Oregon in the poll, but side rant. I cannot stand when people talk about rating these teams and then talk about, they beat 4 ranked teams. Well, were they ranked when they played them, or are they ranked now? Because some of those teams were garbage. They may have been ranked really high. I'm sorry, beating Texas A&M doesn't mean much, even though they were a top 5 team in the beginning of the season. They're garbage. Which is funny that they beat LSU. But, whatever. Speaking of LSU, since I'm not going to talk about them, they are not on this list. I know they have a couple, they have one good win against Alabama that they scraped out because Bryce Young wasn't hitting receivers at all that game, probably due to injury. But other than that, their win against Ole Miss, well, Ole Miss doesn't look as good anymore. You look at Ole Miss, that's why you need to look at the totality of these teams and their schedules and what they've actually done. Oregon State looks impressive. A win that no one thought was very impressive at all is against Fresno State. Well, look at Fresno State now. They're going to the Mountain West Championship game. They've got their quarterback back, and all of a sudden they're a pretty good team again. So look at the totality of those teams. Anyways, that's my rant. Don't look when we're saying, this team beat so many ranked teams, it better be this team beat so many ranked teams on these final rankings, because that's what matters. Those are the teams that are good. I don't care what a team was ranked in the beginning of the season. As you know, I rant about this all the time. They shouldn't even have those rankings then. Anyways, 13, I have Kansas State. Kansas State might be higher. I like Kansas State a lot. I think they're a good team. I think they will give TCU a run for their money in the Big 12 championship game. Oh, apologies for not having a preview episode, but I was too busy scoring many touchdowns in our Turkey Bowl and having a good Thanksgiving, so no video, but I would have predicted USC beating Notre Dame. That's all that mattered. We have got number 12, Oregon State. Again, very impressed with Oregon State, and their defense is good. One thing that gets lost in Oregon completely collapsing is Oregon State stopped Oregon, who had been doing amazing things in that game, but the defense stopped Oregon from doing things. They have a good defense. All right, number 11, I have Utah. They're a good team. They destroyed Colorado. Not much to take out of that game, but it will be a good championship game. between USC and Utah. Clemson I have as number 10. Again, they're okay. They struggle at quarterback, and that really came through. Number 9, I have Penn State. I mean, aside from Penn State losing to Michigan and Ohio State, they have dominated the rest of their schedule. They haven't played very much because the Big Ten is garbage this year, other than the top 3 teams. I mean, Purdue is going to the Big Ten championship game. That's all you need to know, because Iowa lost to Nebraska. Anyways. Number 8, I have Washington. Washington very well could be up. I could see Washington all the way up at like 6. The way they're playing. Why I have them here is they lost to Arizona State. I don't know how they lost to Arizona State, because they are pretty darn good. And their offense is scoring now. In the Apple Cup, against a good Washington State team. Again, I think Washington State is a good team. But Washington just could not be stopped. Their offense is a pretty scary offense, and pretty scary to see what they'll do in the future. So theoretically, I mean, resume-wise, that loss from Arizona State, inexcusable, and that's why they're dropped below the next 2 teams. Otherwise, they would be above them. The next one is Alabama. Again, 2 plays at the end of the games, and that's what cost them. Otherwise, they'd be undefeated. Are they the best Alabama team? No. But are they a good team? Yes. I don't think they can get into the playoff. I think we're down to 5 teams that can get into the playoff, which I'll explain once I get to my top 5. Number 6, I have Tennessee. They've destroyed Vanderbilt. No surprise there. I have them above Alabama because they beat Alabama, and they both have 2 losses. And the loss against South Carolina, it was a brutal loss, but it's still LSU, South Carolina. There's not much difference between those 2 teams. The margin of victory is different, but then Tennessee beat Alabama, so that's why I have them ahead of them. Number 5, I have Ohio State. They got embarrassed there. They're not. Their only hope is if I think USC loses. If USC loses, they have to put one other team in, and I think Ohio State with only 1 loss is the next one to fill in. Above Alabama is the other one that the committee might put in. I think Ohio State goes. I think even if TCU loses, I think they're still better resume than Ohio State and will get in ahead of Ohio State. Speaking of number 4, I have USC. Amazing. Let's just take a minute and a moment to say that Caleb Williams is the Heisman Trophy winner. The guy is ridiculous. He slips out of so many tackles. It is a joy to watch. He is just an awesome quarterback and very fun. Is this the best USC team? No. In fact, I think this might be the worst USC team that we might have, which is saying something. Beware. Who knows what happens in the future, but I can only imagine USC's defense is going to improve. I can only imagine, it's hard to imagine a better offense, but I think we might get a better offense. It could be scary what USC can be. But win in the Pac-12 championship game, USC is in. Number 3, I have TCU. They were very impressive against a nobody, Iowa State. Number 2, Michigan, very impressive against Ohio State. It looked like Ohio State might be dominating, and Ohio State just let Michigan just stay in the game, and then it was gone, and Michigan had them blown out. So very impressive by Michigan. And number 1, I still have Georgia. Now, the thing with the top 4, and you can even throw in Ohio State here too, I would include them in, is I don't think there's a runaway winner here. Like in the previous years, Alabama and Georgia, for example, last year, no one was beating them. Michigan and Cincinnati had no shot in those games. This year, I think the top 5 teams, any of them could beat any of them. I don't think Georgia is a juggernaut this year. They're probably the deepest. They're probably the best team, but they're not an unbeatable team. They can definitely be beat. So That's my college football thing. Again, I think Georgia's a lock, win or lose. Michigan is a lock, win or lose. I think TCU is a lock, win or lose. USC is not. They need to beat Utah in the Pac-12 championship game to get into the playoff. If they don't, Ohio State moves into that spot. That's my analysis on that. All right, that's college football. Also, give Caleb Williams the Heisman. He is, again, the best. All right, World Cup. U.S. drew with England 0-0. It was an exciting game, though. I mean, U.S. was getting chances. They were dominating the possession. They were dominating those chances until England made their substitutions there at the end. And then England was able to take control of the game again after that. So I want to see the U.S. be able to counter better than they did in that game. Especially because U.S. was subbing after England did. England made some subs because they were getting dominated. U.S. needs to be able to counter that, and they didn't in that game. I mean, they made some subs, but they didn't tactically take control of the game again. They lost that. And had they pushed like they were, they would have got the winning goal there. Now we need to beat Iran to advance. My other favorite of the tournament, Denmark, they need to win in their last game to advance, win and they're through. So those are my two. Brazil is looking amazing. Portugal is looking good. They won their game against Uruguay today 2-0. So they're very strong. Argentina beats Mexico. That not surprising to me. I don't believe in Mexico. I feel bad for Canada. I think Canada's better than what they've shown. What other teams are there to discuss? Germany has no scoring touch. I mean, they ended up drawing, but there's against Spain, but there's nothing there. I like on their offensive play. I'm so used to like having Klose, whatever his name is, just pound the ball and get a million goals, and Germany just doesn't have that. France is looking good. They beat Denmark